Talking Points memo, President Trump takes Washington, D.C. So 800 National Guard are going to the D.C. Armory right now, Associated Press is reporting, and they will patrol neighborhoods, suppressing criminals. So if you're a criminal and you want to go out and hijack a car or stick up an old lady to get money for drugs, and there's National Guard standing there, you are less likely to do it. Okay, there's also 120 FBI agents, and they are in the neighborhoods where crimes are most committed. So again, this is a suppression of crime, an institution of more safety for the public. Does everybody understand what's happening here? I hope you do. Well, the progressive left, the Trump haters, they hate this. And then the simple question is, wait. If you're going to make human beings, American citizens, more safe, and you have the legal authority to do it because the federal government runs the District of Columbia, why wouldn't you do it? Okay. So, in addition to the crime and murders, by the way, I'm sorry I said that, murders in D.C. rose between 2012 and 24 about 100%. And they've come down a little bit, but D.C. is a violent city and everybody knows it who lives there. You got to be careful. Everybody knows. Okay. In addition to the crime, there are about 6,000 homeless people, most of them drug addicts. And a lot of them live on public land, federal land. And Trump goes, no. So today, Caroline Leavitt, the press spokesman for the White House, said, hey, the Metropolitan Police are going to get the homeless, and they're going to give them a choice. You can either check yourself in, and I guess there would be accompanied to a shelter receiving mental health services. But if you do not do that, then you will be put in jail. Okay. Why that tactic? Because it's the only tactic that works. You're not going to persuade people to give up inebriation unless they're desperate. So if you talk to any drug rehab counselor, you can't rehab somebody who doesn't want to be rehabbed. And most of these people, not only in D.C., but all over the country, living on the streets, are drug addicts or alcoholics, and they want to get high all day, every day. You put them in jail, which you can do because there's an ordinance on the books in Washington, they can't get their dope or their booze. So they're going to leave. They're not going to hang around for that. That's how you get them out. And that's what the federal government is now doing. So the U.S. Park Police are going into the public areas owned by we, the taxpayers, and they're saying, you're out of here. No debate. That's not going to take long. But the progressive left, of course, they don't want that. They don't want anything like that because they hate Trump and they don't want laws to be enforced. That's a complicated issue, but it's absolutely true. All right, so the first guy I'm going to feature on this is our pal Pete Buttigieg, perhaps the worst transportation secretary in the history of the country. Under Joe Biden, you remember Pete, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Under Pete, the U.S. airline industry almost collapsed. And Pete did nothing because Pete didn't know what to do. And of course, President Biden didn't do anything. So people were delayed and had canceled and on and on and on and on. Well, here's what Buttigieg says about Trump and the feds going into law enforcement in the District of Columbia. Go.
As we speak, the federal government is taking over the policing of a major American city, Washington, D.C. The president is doing this not in order to make the city safer, that's the job of local law enforcement, but to solve his own political problems. He needs to get his base talking and thinking about something besides his refusal to open up the Epstein files.
Well, how would Buttigieg know that? Does he read minds? Does he talk to Trump about it? No. He wants to divert away from Epstein. Epstein's story is largely dead. Okay? We're going to have a little bit on it tomorrow, put a bow on it, but it's largely dead. But Buttigieg and the progressives, they want to tie Epstein to Trump. So anything Trump does, Putin meeting, anything, oh, it's a diversion. How would you know? How do you back that statement up, Buttigieg? You can't back it up. Just ridiculous. He's a ridiculous man. Okay, the other guy is former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Listen to this. Go.
Most FBI agents were not police officers before they came into the FBI. Even the most tactically astute, highly trained FBI agents, those who serve on SWAT teams, I know this as a former SWAT team member, they don't know, they don't do community policing.
Are you kidding me? This is so ridiculous. So all they're supposed to do, the FBI agents, is to stop crime by their very presence and to investigate gang members and things like that who may have organized carjacking rings. You tell me the FBI can't do that? Oh, fine. This is so absurd. I mean, I sit here every day and I go, these people, I guess they believe the American public's that stupid to listen to this garbage. All right? Now, there was a protective operation in Los Angeles. We all know that. When some of those riots out there got out of control and the federal government, Donald Trump, sent in the National Guard and stopped the cold. Stopped the cold. And that's what's going to happen in D.C. I guarantee this. This is 100%. This is easy. This isn't hard. The gang bangers in D.C. can't come out of their holes now, as long as the federal presence is there. Now, you would think that a McCabe and a Buttigieg, not fair people, not looking out for you by any means, would listen to the police union chief in Washington, D.C. Go.
Well, look, we completely agree with the president that crime in the District of Columbia is out of control and something needs to be done with it. We have to go back to how we got here, though. In 2020, the D.C. City Council passed an enormous amount of legislation that handcuffed police officers, exposes them to administrative, civil, and even criminal liability, even when they do their jobs properly.
And that happened in New York, that happened in Chicago, that happened in L.A., in San Francisco, same thing. Okay? We will hector the police. We will make it hard for the police to do their jobs. But the police union chairman, Gregory Pemberton, said, hey, we back Trump. We know the situation in D.C. is out of control crime-wise. Enter, this is unbelievable, and Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House. Here's what she tweeted, quote, Donald Trump delayed deploying the National Guard on January 6th when our Capitol was under violent attack and lives are at stake. Now, he's activating the D.C. Guard to distract from his incompetent mishandling of tariffs, healthcare, education, immigration, just to name a few blunders. Okay, so it's not Epstein, it's tariffs and everything like that. All right, Nancy Pelosi. Now, the Capitol Hill police chief at the time of the riot is named Stephen Sund. Here's how he reacted to Pelosi. Quote, ma'am, it is long past time to be honest with the American people. On January 3rd, I requested National Guard assistance, but your Sergeant at Arms denied it. Under federal law, I was prohibited from calling them in without specific approval. That same day, Carol Corbin at the Pentagon offered National Guard support, but I was forced to decline because I lacked the legal authority. So this, we have known that Pelosi was a saboteur of the National Guard coming to protect the Capitol. And yet she has the gall and the deceit to criticize Trump doing this. Hard to believe. All right, now looking forward, the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, very close ally with Donald Trump, is going to have another round of hearings. And D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is first up. He announced that yesterday. It's going to be in September. We don't have a date. So they're going to call in all the D.C. locals and say, Why do you oppose something that would make your own citizens, your own residents safer? Why would you do that, madam? Oh, crime's going down. So what? So what? If crime goes down to zero, that's what we want. Okay, so that hearing, another House oversight. That's a busy bunch over there, okay? On the homeless situation, they can solve the problem fairly easily by saying, look, either help yourself or you go to jail for a few days and then you can't get your drugs and you're in withdrawal or whatever. And so they're going to all leave. They go to Baltimore. Baltimore, you can do whatever you want with drugs. Easy. So summing up, I expect this to be successful, this DC stuff. The opposition to Donald Trump continues to embarrass itself and be deceitful. Nancy Pelosi, incredibly deceitful. And that's where it stands, and that is the memo. What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket and finally getting some breathing room. It is possible when you call American Financing. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, you're not alone. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off debt. Please call American Financing today before the problem gets worse. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. Their customers save an average of $800 a month. It's fast, simple, and it could save your budget this summer. Please call now before it's too late. American Financing, 888-462-9557. 888-462-9557. AmericanFinancing.net/bill. All right, so I have an interesting guest to tell you about. Breitbart, Alex Marlow. I read the book, and I got 1,000 books, literally, okay? Because I wanted to see what Marlow had. And here's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in right-wing politics. Breitbart is a conservative site. I knew Mr. Breitbart before he died. I liked him. But what I'm interested in is who paid for all the cases against Donald Trump. And Marlow is investigating that. Now, if you don't know him, he is, let me get your official title here, Alex, so I don't blow it. You are the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News, the host of the Alex Marlow podcast, and a 2-time New York Times bestselling author. Did I have it? Do I have everything? And you want to throw anything else in there on your resume, or do I have it?
No, and a 3-time guest on your show, Bill, which I appreciate. You have me on for both of my other books, Breaking Biden and Breaking the News. And there's an homage to you in that. I've titled my first 3 books in a similar theme to what you do with the Killing series. I was thinking about it. I think other than Stephen King, you're the author I've read the most over the years. So congrats to your longevity.
Oh,
and
you're
there's an
gonna love
homage
Evil.
to Bill O'Reilly in the book title.
Thank you. Thank you. You're going to love Evil coming up September 9th. Now, let's start with E. Jean Carroll. And this is probably the least important, but the most outrageous
yes,
to me.
agreed.
Because I don't know her, but I know who she is. And I know the people she surrounds herself with. And she won $5 million in damages, saying that Trump jumped her in Bergdorf Goodman. I mean, it's just inconceivable that that would happen with no scream or nobody else around. I mean, come on. She still won Manhattan jury. And then she won when Trump said she's X, Y, and Z. She sued him for defamation, won there. Case is presently on appeal. Who gave E. Jean Carroll the money to go after Trump?
First of all, I love that you started with this case of the 6 that I profiled because it is the most outrageous. It does seem to be the least serious, but this is a woman who had cats named Tits and Vagina. She basically, her claims against Trump almost mirrored exactly a Law and Order plot from an episode that took place a year or two before this event allegedly took place. There are so many implausible moments in the case that I think when people read my retelling of it, they'll actually laugh at certain points. And yet, this was put up as a major example of sexual predatory behavior by Trump with virtually little, almost no hard evidence at all. The key point being that she had apparently saved this dress that may have had Trump's DNA on it, but then she wouldn't turn it over to authorities so no one could actually examine it. So, which I talked to Trump about this, and he said he loved that she had the dress because he could have exonerated him. So she kept it a secret. But to answer your question, this was bankrolled by Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn billionaire, frequent Biden White House guest, a guy who has been involved in basically every major Democrat funding operation, period. And he is someone who is part of this revolving door of donors that is involved in so many of these nefarious plots by the left to try to buy portions of the American government. This was the idea of George Conway, the famed legal pundit and ex-husband of Kellyanne Conway. Who was a huge
Let me stop you there.
It was Conway's idea, and Hoffman funded it.
All right, let me stop you there. Reid Hoffman, you said frequent White House guest under Obama and Biden. I don't even know. Did he visit Biden?
Yeah, 5 times in 2022 alone, and then there was another meeing that they had that same year.
So he's deeply embedded.
I stopped there. I thought I have what I need at that point.
He's deeply embedded. Now this E. Jean Carroll thing. Do you know if she got money directly from him? Was she paid by him?
I don't know if she was paid by him, but her attorneys, and she had the top attorneys possible, the absolute top Me Too attorneys, and this was framed as a Me Too case, that this was an example of Trump preying on a innocent woman and pinning her into a department store dressing room, even though there were no eyewitnesses to it, and apparently Carroll hadn't told anyone who would testify about it for decades. That was how it was framed. And they got the best lawyers in the game in order to be on her team. Those people are not cheap. And they're certainly not something that E. Jean Carroll, as a former comedy writer and columnist, could have afforded.
Okay. So it was a civil suit. You have to pay lawyers to file all the paperwork. And I'd say estimate $2-3 million. They might have worked pro bono for her and taken a piece, but you're saying that Hoffman paid them outright, but you don't know if he paid her, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where the funds were allocated specifically, but I'll tell you there was a clip of Carroll after she had gotten I think it was a $95 million judgment against Trump, where she was literally announcing she was going to be buying gifts for her attorneys, as well as sympathetic TV pundits.
It wasn't a serious case. Then we go into, and you believe, according to Breaking the Law, your book, that the Manhattan jury would have found Trump guilty of anything. And Trump didn't appear on his own behalf or anything, but the fix was in from the very beginning. That's what you believe, right?
Yeah, and Trump said he probably regrets his strategy, and that I spoke to him about this in an interview earlier this year, and he says that he did not like the way that his attorneys handled it. He had tough words for a guy named Tacopina, who's one of his attorneys. But he also said that it was hopeless, that once the judge and jury were impaneled, it was over for him, and that's part of the problem with the lawfare.
Okay. What is Project 65?
Yeah, Project 65 are attorneys who is a well-funded left-wing effort to target attorneys who work for Trump. And it's essentially legal world cancel culture. It's trying to make it that if you represent Trump or someone who is affiliated with Trump, that you are no longer able to work in polite society again.
Wow.
And you
That's
are
pretty
classed
nasty.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who's Herb Sandler?
Herb Sandler is a guy who is behind ProPublica. Now, ProPublica is a left-wing activist journalism outlet, and they actually get some stuff right. I know this because I practice some advocacy journalism, Bill, which I'm happy to admit from time to time. It doesn't make you inaccurate if you have an agenda when you're reporting certain things. But he's funded this group that has really tried to take either small kernels of news or outright fake news and use it to weaponize against conservative judges and justices. In particular, he's targeted Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, the two originalist standard bearers on the Supreme Court. And the ProPublica outlet has tried to make their lives a living hell simply because they're originalists. And they've implied this guilt by association stuff that because they have a couple of rich friends, that they must be taking bribes from them to decide court cases in certain ways. And there's no evidence of that at all. It's all speculation, and it's designed to harass them. And this comes from the ProPublica outlet, which is backed by mainly Herb Sandler and the Sandler Foundation, but also George Soros and Laurene Powell Jobs, who owns The Atlantic, and another murderer's row of Democrat philanthropists.
Now, Soros is in his mid-90s. His son, Alex, is running this operation, Open Society, or whatever it is.
Yes.
But how active in your book was Soros in trying to harm Donald Trump?
Very active in certain ways because he's able to operate more clandestinely, and his focus in my book is more on the DA races that he bought. Tens and tens of millions of people in this country are living in a area where their DA is soft on crime and is doing everything they can to try to allow criminals.
And that was Bragg in Manhattan.
And those people were put in power by Soros money.
Soros donated millions to them, and their competition on the other side couldn't match.
That's right.
Final question for you. Media Matters has been in business, almost 30 years. They're character assassins. I've gone up against them many, many times. They're involved in a lot of this, distributing the garbage that comes out of these organizations that want to harm Trump and Republicans. But now it looks like Media Matters is going out of business. You hear that?
It's amazing news. This was one of Andrew's biggest foils when he was alive, and I wish he was here to celebrate with us. Sadly, there's a lot of, I think, facsimiles of it that will just replace the work that Media Matters has done. And I grew to find it to be a compliment whenever they would quote me for some reason. So I will miss that to some degree. But this was the original Soros-funded media operation to try to smear and character assassinate people, basically for having normative conservative views, the type of views that you and I would opine on a daily basis about, Bill.
Okay. Did you find any research? And again, I did read Alex's book, and if you're into this kind of want to know the specifics, it's very good. You'll get a lot of information out of it.
Thank you.
Did you find any corporate media that reported on any of this Trump stuff in a fair way, methodical way?
No, absolutely not. And one thing that I highlight right at the top is how Jeff Bezos admitted that his paper completely failed on this. And this is not a guy who's a knee-jerk pro-Trump person. I think he's mostly apolitical, if not left-leaning, though I think he's embraced Trump recently to some degree. But he flat out announced that we botched this thing. And this is something that is a point we cannot repeat enough. The corporate media is dead, and we can, frankly, urinate on their graves at this point because they're gone and they're not coming back in a meaningful way. Alternative media is here to stay.
All right, Alex. Thank you very much for helping us out. We appreciate it. Good luck with the book. The American dream is changing. Forget the white picket fence. Today, it's about getting out of debt. If rising prices and credit card bills are weighing you down, there is hope. Done with debt. They don't offer loans or push bankruptcy. Their expert negotiators go straight to your creditors, cutting what you owe, wiping out interest, eliminating penalties. They fight until your debt is gone. Most clients see more money in their pocket the first month. You've worked too hard to let debt win. With Done With Debt, freedom is possible. Please visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their experts, completely free. But some of their solutions are time sensitive, so don't wait. Please go to donewithdebt.com. Again, donewithdebt.com. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty-free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. You can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Final thought of the day. So I'm a big baseball fan. Played 14 years consecutively. I played baseball right up until semi-pro. And I root for the Mets and the Yankees because I know people and own a team. And, you know, I'm probably one of the few that does that in New York. But both teams are really having a hard time. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, the Mets in particular have lost 7 in a row. And they have lost 11 out of the last 12. The highest payroll. No, the Dodgers have the biggest payroll. And the Mets are second. Okay, $340 million they're paying the players. They're not performing. They're not. What do? Now, the current manager is Mello. Okay. I'd be a little more heated. I'd be a little more Billy Martin myself. Say, hey, we know you're good players, but you got to do everything now. You have to. So you got to relight that fire. You know, life goes in streaks for everybody, not just sports teams. You go up, you're down, and the Mets and the Yankees are down, but you pull it together. Okay? You got to fight like Trump when he got shot in the ear. What has to happen? Boy, oh boy. You know, I turned on the TV set and I'm going, oh. Final thought. Thanks for watching and listening to the No Spin News. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.